Hey guys, I just wanted to make a few comments on geoengineering today, and what brought this up is that inside the geoengineering movement, or I should say the movement to stop geoengineering, there are these factions that keep arguing about whether it's getting warmer or colder, and they, bring up the data to show this is, trends, whatever they're trying to prove. Some saying that an ice age is coming, other ones say, look, it's obviously getting a lot hotter, and then they're saying that that it's getting disrupted, climate change, with one part of the world or the country getting really hot while the other part gets really cold, and it's all being manipulated by the spraying. And then there are some who are saying that it's not getting hotter or colder, that there's really no correlation between, for example, CO2 in the atmosphere and warming or cooling. And Mike Adams made a beautiful set of 3 videos yesterday and explaining that, showing the charts with the graphs corrected to show all the way down to 0 and going all the way back in time, millions of years, and that how the temperature's been changing and how the CO2 in the atmosphere has been changing. And if those charts are right, there's no connection. It's really interesting. But the point is not that, it's something else. Even though those charts show that overall the CO2 is very low right now, not disastrously high, but very low. Compared to 1960, it's up. But compared to a bigger chart that goes way back, it's not, it's not up at all. It's way near the bottom of the bigger range. But these graphs with no 0 and a short time frame, they're obviously being used to create panic about global warming and climate change, and they're moving toward trying to arrest people who say there's not an emergency about climate change and global warming. So the power structure is clearly not trying to cover it up, they're trying to exacerbate it. And in the face of all this, and the reason they want to create panic about global warming, and that it's the last second and you have to stop global warming this minute, and the good way to do it is to give money to these climate exchange, financial deals where you pay for using extra carbon, or a good way to do it is just to tell everybody else not to use their appliances and to buy really tiny cars and all that, when we know there are ways of driving cars that use no fuel at all, and they've just been suppressed. But the theory of the rulers is that if there's enough panic about global warming or climate change, whatever comes first, then people will be more willing to accept tyranny. And in this way, it's a fraud. Even though it's really true that there is climate disruption and abnormal change, not because you plug in your refrigerator or driving an RV, but because they're spraying toxic metals and all these other biological weapons in the spray ingredients that are creating completely abnormal climate patterns, polar vortexes and new kinds of clouds and stuff that should not be happening. It's extremely dangerous to fool around with that. So the groups who want to stop geoengineering have to ask themselves, and others, what's the priority? To prove that it's getting warmer and we have to panic about global warming, or to prove that there's an ice age coming and all the global warming people are crazy, or to prove that there's no change in overall temperature in the bigger picture, or to prove that there's no CO2 temperature correlation? If those are your priorities, then you're doing what you can. Just keep debating and showing graphs and charts and all that. Meanwhile, while you're arguing about this stuff, the spraying is going on. And the main bottom line point of it is it's a threat to destroying the whole biosphere. It's poisoning the air that you breathe. It's poisoning the water that you drink. It's poisoning the land. It's moving toward being unable to grow natural organic crops. Well, first of all, by not making them fully organic. But also if they create aluminum toxicity and other things in the soil, then it's going to look like the GMO crops are needed to save us against this aluminum problem. And this is what the geoengineering is really doing. It's making the world uninhabitable. Not by mistake, not from a scientific oversight that they're really trying to make it look normal and so nobody will panic about global warming. No, it's exactly the opposite. They're trying to create as much abnormal climate change as they possibly can, and they're succeeding. The geoengineering program is 100% successful, moving towards its intended goal of making the biosphere unlivable. And I don't think that's a very good thing. The reason I'm looking down here is I brought a few notes to make sure I don't forget any of the main points that I wanted to share with you. So geoengineering is much bigger than just what it's doing to the climate right now. It's an organized chemical air raid against all life on the planet, threatening to poison everything so that no life can exist here. Yeah, it's disrupting the climate for sure. It's probably the biggest factor in man-made climate disruption that exists right now. And it's these huge fleets of planes. When you see the long white lines behind them, in case you don't already know about this, that's not ice crystals. Okay, we have now high definition photography of nozzles mounted on the wings, not from the jet fuel, turning on and off at will and putting these huge plumes of particulates into the atmosphere, millions of tons, and it's going on pretty much everywhere in the world right now, and it's being ignored by government. And they're not that stupid, in my opinion. They're more cooperating with the destruction of the earth, and the ones in the government are saying, well, if we can get our money and power that we want and position and be part of the in crowd, then yeah, poisoning the earth is a reasonable price to pay. And the ones higher up are thinking, yeah, this is part of our ceremonial sacrifice of the earth. It's not about money. It's about satanic worship and their ultimate goal of no life here at all, and then they blend into cyberspace and become immortal. It's not going to work out that way, but they really believe it. And this is what's behind it. They're not making a mistake. They're on track. Geoengineering is successful. It's destroying normal climate, and it's poisoning the entire biosphere. And that's the point of it. It's not a mistake. It's not whack-a-mole. It's not anything like that. It's planetary extermination, and it's successful, and they don't feel like not doing it. So no matter how much you try to convince the scientists that, wait, we're actually hurting the climate, they don't care. They know that. That's the point. Okay, so I don't see any way to get it to stop at this point unless we change the consciousness that's behind it. And if that sounds completely unrealistic to you, I totally understand that. It's not a New Age philosophy or religion or anything like that. It's a result of a lot of decades of research on my part. And I know the damage that the geoengineering is doing. It's a minor point whether it would kill us by overheating or overcooling. That's not the issue. The issue is that no matter what happens with the temperature, even if it goes down, even if it doesn't change, it can end life on the planet. It doesn't even matter if it gets warmer 1 degree. They can kill everything here, including us and themselves, and they intend to. So there is a way, though, that you're not supposed to know about. Other tools that you've got. Every single person has them. And I'd say the main program of the global rulers right now, even beyond geoengineering, which is bad enough, is to make sure that you don't wake up to who you are before they've killed us all. That's really the bottom line. So I'd say, as I've said before, I trust the authorities, I trust government guidance. You just have to translate a little bit by reversing it and looking at the opposite. So I would say thank you, global rulers. You're right. Our main project is to become self-aware before you kill everything so that we can reverse it. We have that much power on non-physical levels that will affect even the physical world. It can affect the mindset of the people doing the spraying. I'm really trying to convey something important to you right now, and there is a way to do it. Okay, there are things at our command that they are absolutely determined that we should not find out. So waking up does not mean getting to list all the bad things that are happening. That's intellectual awareness, it's fine. But the real waking up, where the power is becoming aware who you are, and that these programs running day and night, thoughts and emotions about various things that we have always thought that's who we are. It's not who we are. There's something incredible. You're the most beautiful, permanent, incredible, powerful being that you can imagine. Very brilliant. And this is the main secret. Even above the health information that you're not supposed to know and all that, this is more important. It's more of a priority for them to make sure you don't find out. So I'm suggesting we not only find out, but use it. In the end, the evil rulers that are doing all these things, the GMOs, chemical agriculture, the fake medicine and fake education and all that stuff, even they will benefit if we do this, because we're not out to destroy them. We're out to change their intentions. That can be done. In case you don't know, we're actively involved in doing that. And if you're up to it, check us out on lostartsradio.com/club. While we're still up on these major media, because I'm being careful of not using certain keywords, if you want support and a group that is actually individually and freely doing what I'm talking about, what I'm indirectly referring to here, check out lostartsradio.com/club. No obligation to keep doing it or anything. You can quit right away if you want to. But it's not worth it. It's not worth checking out this club project if you're just a spectator. It involves work. But the kind of work, if you're up to it and if you're ready, is not the really, stressful work of clenching your teeth and saying, I gotta make myself do this. It's the opposite. It feels really good. And it does have side effects. I should disclose that. You're going to get a lot happier in your life, and a lot of sources of stress are going to completely change for the better. So if you're interested in that, check out the club project, and otherwise just get what you can from the free videos. I'm going to try to do those almost every day. If you've got your own way of doing this, I'm just telling you, that's great. Do it on your own. But the key is consciousness. Not just to make yourself feel better and unaware of what's going on. It's just the opposite. The real consciousness work makes you much more aware of everything, but it does something else. It gives you the ability to influence what even the worst of our controllers are doing right now. Because I really want geoengineering stopped and a lot of other things, and there is a way to do it. That's what we're talking about. We'll see you next time.